All right, guys, welcome back to the Rick Shiels Golf Show podcast, episode 261. Ironically, the same distance I hit my driver these days.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone, for coming back. I'm your host, Rick Shiels. I'm here with co-host Guy. I think we've had one of the busiest weeks we've ever had in the world this week.
Do you think?
I do. We've been here. Speak English, please, Richard. Here, there, and everywhere. After back of the Open, after spending 6 days at the Open, this week we went to another golf event, which was very, very, very different. We'll talk about that in a moment. How are you, Guy? Everything good?
I'm very good. I had a nice weekend. Again, we will talk in depth, and this will probably be the title of the podcast, let's be honest, about LIV JCB, LIV UK by JCB. But I had a good weekend. I've got a little email I want to start off the podcast with, though, Rick, in a moment. But first of all, how was your weekend?
It was really good, mate. My only issue was it didn't last long enough. I was really enjoying this weekend. The weather was out.
Yeah,
it was sunny in England. Having some wonderful time with the family. One of my daughters had a sleepover, which is always interesting. I don't recall having sleepovers as a kid.
I did
with friends.
With lovers. That sounds weird.
Jesus Christ. You're talking about when you was a kid.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yes, I did. Yeah.
I honestly
However, having said that, though, giving it the big one, then my first ever sleepover, I remember this quite vividly, didn't result in sleeping over. It resulted in a phone call home to my parents probably 10:30 at night in tears, needing to get picked up.
By you?
Yeah, I was in tears. Yeah, I went to my friend's house. I think from what I remember very vividly. Vividly is when you remember something well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So not vividly. Vaguely. They're quite similar words considering they mean such. You know the other one as well I always get muddled up with? Condemn or condone. So when something terrible happens in the news and there's like an attack or something, they say they condemned it, which means they're against that. So we can condemn that. But then condone it, which is the opposite, it feels quite a similar word. So, for example, if you cheated at golf, I could say, I condemn Rick Shiels cheating. Or if I said, I condone Rick Shiels at cheating, that means, I want you to do that.
Yeah.
But they're quite similar.
The other one I always get, when someone says, oh, they're an ally.
That's a friend.
It doesn't sound like that, does it?
Because the word lies in there.
But ally sounds like a negative. Ally, like, we are allies. It's like, oh God, I didn't know we didn't like each other.
It's got that tone to it, quite a sharp word.
Yeah, where if it was, we're pals. All right, well, that makes sense. But allies, I always get mixed up with that. I always say UK and USA are allies. I'm thinking, oh no, we're not, are we? we're not going to fall out with USA. But
speaking of allies, though, potentially not allies. This brings on to my email. So we love people's emails to the podcast, and we do need to read more because we read them, but read them out on the podcast more.
Oh, we laugh and we chuckle here in the office about all your wonderful podcast.
It was only last week we didn't get out of the office till 10:30 at night because we just sat here, me and you, on the couch together,
just reading
emails.
A bucket of popcorn,
we did,
and a couple of Monsters and Prime, and all we did was read emails all day. But you know what? We should maybe do it publicly on the actual podcast.
Well, I'm going to do this one, and it's calling me out a little bit, but I'd love to explain myself. I've seen this a little bit recently, and this email was a little bit too negative and a bit harsh. I'd like to address it and see what you think. You might be on the side of the emailee, or emailer, should I say. Anyway,
well, again, that's quite two different...
I know. It's getting confusing, this English language. Anyway, it's from a guy called Dan. I won't read his surname out just because it's a bit slightly negative. It says, Guy, you take golf for granted in the title. And he put, Guy, I don't mind you for the most part, so it's a nice start.
Nice.
But after watching your break 80 at Troon, it really highlighted to me just how much you take what you do for granted. I had a round with my mate midweek who also watched the video, and we both agreed you don't realise how lucky you are. You get to play these amazing exclusive golf courses, which we mere mortals can only dream of playing due to the job you're in, or because financially we can't afford to. And just because you were plus 11 through 8 holes, or whatever it was, you just give up. What message does that send to kids watching these videos? You talk about playing golf for fun and being outside with friends and it's good exercise, then just decide to stop. It really frustrated me. I get it's not much fun playing bad golf, but just appreciate where you are and what you get to do, because I'd love to be in your position. Stop taking it for granted. Rant over. Cheers, Dan from Norwich. Okay. So if you've not seen this, and hopefully a lot of you have because the viewing figures were pretty good, we obviously were so lucky a few weeks before the Open played at Royal Troon, myself, Rick, obviously, and James Robinson. You were trying to break 75, Rick, and you shot. Drum roll, please.
I've told probably everyone in the world this last week, shot 74.
You did indeed. You played some great golf. James shot, I think, also 74.
He
was
did.
it? And he was trying to break 70s, not quite.
I
but
could
another.
have beaten him.
You could have had that medal forever. I beat James Robinson award.
I could have had that.
You didn't.
Next time.
Yeah. And in a weird way, James Robinson has beat like Tommy Fleetwood's in the past in amateur events. So in theory, if you beat James, you're therefore better than Tommy Fleetwood.
Correct.
Tommy Fleetwood on his days absolutely beat Tiger Woods, etc.
So in theory, if I would have,
you'd be the lineal champ. You beat the man who beat the man who beat the man.
But I didn't.
No.
So I'm now the loser.
You are. Anyway, obviously after 11 holes, I think it was, not 8, I decided to rip up my scorecard and not continue scoring anymore. But and there has been a bit
there
has been a few comments
you're so
about
lucky.
this. I am lucky. I'm not disputing that. However, the difference here is, and what I can't quite understand how they can't understand is, yes, I did stop scoring and I gave myself a big fat NR and decided that my score no longer was relevant. However, the whole point of doing that was because I was enjoying myself. I was at this lovely place playing this amazing golf course with 2 friends on camera. I wanted to make sure that I had as much fun as I possibly could because I was never probably going to be in that situation ever again. Well, so why not forget about the score and carry on playing? I didn't quit the round of golf.
No, I think that's the difference.
If I'd have walked off in a stink and said, right, that's it, I'm going back to the hotel to sulk, then this email would be absolutely granted. All I did do was say, you know what, from no longer I'm going to keep my score up. I'm going to carry on playing, have a bit of a laugh, and make a birdie, which I did, and a couple of pars, a few more bad holes. Now, yeah, I can argue, in club comps, should you NR? That's down to you. But for me, again, golf is all about having fun. If you decide in a comp that after 1 hole, you're going to rip up the scorecard, but play the remaining 17 holes, have a laugh, be a good playing partner, be someone that's nice to be around, the TV's just gone off, but it doesn't really matter. It's back on. Then do it. Like, I don't really think that's a bad message to set to kids. Maybe you should always keep your score, maybe not. But the main thing should be have fun, be a good playing partner, and enjoy your day.
Yeah, I think you're right. You didn't quit, and I think actually quit. And people say, "Oh, he did quit." You quit on your scorecard, but you didn't quit playing golf that day, and that is very, very different. And the other thing I think where NRs come into play is you've got to understand we're in any general play. This is, by the way, it's not just out there filming. For anyone who considers, you know what, my score today isn't where I want it to be, I'm going to NR. A lot of the time, you're helping improve the other player's experience of the day. On that particular hole where you NR'd, you hit 2 left, I think you did. You lost them both. You then walk down there. If you'd have continued your scorecard, in theory, you'd have had to walk all the way back to tee, hit 5 off the tee, and ended up. And if that would have been another bad shot, it was a very, very difficult golf course. And in that situation, and I personally don't mind NRs. I honestly don't. I think I've NR'd enough times in my career. There's plenty of times on YouTube golf I wish I could NR. But genuinely, it's like you were nice to still be around. You didn't drag your feet for the remaining 8 holes that we played. Like I say, you had a fantastic birdie on the 14th. It's like, it doesn't massively matter.
Yeah, and I can't, so a part of me can understand how people see that as quitting, because the point of me was, can I break 80? It was very evident that I couldn't break 80. So I'd carry on having fun. I think that's the main thing for me. It's how you are as a person on the golf course.
I think it's testament to the videos that are made. I think probably just people were quite intrigued to see what you shot.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that's a difference there, because, people would have seen me and James play and gone, but they actually didn't make it look easy, but they've played good golf and they've been rewarded with a decent score. For yourself, who was struggling that day and playing not your greatest golf, what would that have actually looked like?
Correct.
Because with all respect, you might have struggled to break 90.
Yep. Well, the simple way I've not actually counted was count out the rest of the scores and put me a 10 for that hole if you want to be conservative. That's what I would have shot. So whatever that equal, we can maybe work this out. I would have shot whatever that would have been with a 10 on.
But it's like, so it's I think that's the reason why maybe people in the comments or on emails probably a little bit not annoyed with you, but maybe frustrated. They probably would have wanted to know the answer of your score, but you've got to be in that position. Like,
I can see that, and I definitely don't disagree. And I understand to a point, yeah, you'd like to see the score. Third, I'll give down that point, let's say. But what what I didn't like was the thing about you talk about playing golf for fun and what messages to kids. I think, I don't claim to be a great golfer, but what I do try and do and play with you, and I am lucky enough to play with you on camera at these amazing courses, is have fun. And I think, being honest, you can probably count on the time one hand, maybe even if you need a hand, of how many times I've been a right sulk and been a dick to play with.
Yeah, exactly.
I might be annoying to people. I might play bad golf.
Well, for me, you'd run out of fingers and toes.
But yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I think people were just interested to know. And you know what? If you want to see that, we actually bumped into them at the LIV event this week. The four brothers, who hilarious.
Yes.
It was originally four brothers, and one of them decided to pursue a real career, while the other three are still making fun, engaging content on social media. They blew up on Instagram and TikTok and all these things. They've now got a YouTube channel out as well. They filmed at Royal Troon, the three of them, and none of them vouched to be great golfers. If you want to see genuine, real golfers playing against Royal Troon, their scores definitely reflect how hard Royal Troon was. And if anything, the reason why I'm pushing to that video, it only strengthens and improves my 74.
Oh, there we go. I thought then there was something.
It makes my 74 look like a 64 when those guys are hitting.
They were nice guys, though, actually, the four brothers. Really, really nice lads.
It's just so bizarre that there's only three of them, but they can't change the name because it's so perfect for them. So if you are looking on YouTube or social media, I think it's F0UR.
Yes.
F0UR, and then brothers also spelt with a 0. We got to meet with the guys at LIV. We'll come on to LIV in general, but
just one more thing on score though, Rick, before we do that. And I got sent a mail. I'm not going to say who it's from or what golf course or who the person is because it's not fair. However, I got sent a text or something this weekend with a picture of a scorecard from a golf course where a golfer shot 191 over 18 holes, right? And I think...
Is that your scorecard from Royal Troon?
Yeah. And I think it's either a woman or a junior because the length of the golf course, which I know well, isn't the actual length. It's playing just over 5,300 yards on this scorecard. And it's 191, which gave a net 132. And this person who sent me the scorecard, again, I'm not going to name, nice person, I think was thinking I would read this out on the podcast and laugh about it and give it a bit of stick. But that's not at all what I'm going to do. This person has gone out and shot 191, which was a 91 out and 100 in. And the scores range from a 4, which was a bogey, which is the best score on the day, up to a 16. So lots of high numbers on the 10s, 11s, etc. The first thing I saw when I saw that scorecard wasn't, that's funny, was fair play. That person could have easily done what I did, and after 3, 4, 5 holes gone, I'm not going to keep score, so I'm going to enjoy the exercise, enjoy the walk, but they didn't. They persevered, and they got a scorecard in. Now, I don't know about how long they took to play. They might have been a really slow player, which might have been annoying. Might have been quite quick. Who knows? No idea. But to go out there and keep your score, I don't think that's a laughable thing for me. I think that's the equivalent of somebody doing a 5K in an hour, but doing it and completing it, or going to the gym and lifting tiny weights, but going. I think fair dues. So if anyone listens to this and takes anything from that, I'm an advocate of not laughing at what people shoot or what they score, praising them for getting out and giving it a go.
You say 191? That's a lot of golf shots.
Anyway. Wow.
I'm only joking.
I'm joking.
Let's kick into the main subject of this podcast. This week, it was LIV UK at, let's be honest, our second home, JCB Golf and Country Club.
Is it third home, actually? This is our first.
The office.
Then it's got to be
Marriott. I'd say Marriott, then, third home.
Yeah.
JCB Golf and Country Club, a golf club very close to our hearts. Filmed some incredible videos around there, such as the 10-shot challenge with Tommy Fleetwood, such as Break 65 that me and Guy did. I took Ryan Ruffles there where I gave him 10 mulligans. We shot the full Good week when they first ever came over. The number one video on Good's channel is their major with me in it at JCB. You've got the incredible golf. We've actually had Robin Heisman, the designer of the golf course, on the podcast. Incredible golf course. You've got danger, you've got beauty, you've got testing holes, you've got some easier holes. The 17th is just out of this world, par 3, 250 yards over water onto an island green. The guys actually played it a little bit shorter this week, but it's a spectacular venue, and to be honest, it was made to host big tournaments. Originally, it was built and to host Ryder Cups. Really, that was the original plan. It's never happened, and now they've actually hosted arguably one of the biggest LIV golf events they've had in their short history. I think the only one, the Adelaide one over in Australia, is the biggest attendance. But I think for eyeballs, certainly in the UK, it was far bigger, in my opinion, than Centurion was the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We went on Friday. We took the full team, the full squad, all our wonderful cameramen, editors, office staff, social media team. Joe, our social media guy, was actually there all week capturing content for the channels. We pretty much sat in the Digger Inn, which was the hospitality on the party hole on the 14th. I certainly sat there all day, not drinking, albeit. I had a message. Someone said, I saw you on Friday. You were absolutely legless.
Really?
I was like... Well, I didn't drink. I drove home, and I didn't touch.
You drove me home as well.
I didn't drop a single drip of alcohol.
He had it all down his neck.
No, I didn't drip. I didn't drink a single drop of alcohol.
Have you been drinking this morning?
How funny is that, though? You know what? It cemented my belief that comments online are just absolute...
Of course they are.
Rubbish. Because I was like... How can you say I was legless when I literally didn't drink anything? Anyway.
That is weird, actually.
We went, and I'm going to say,
yep,
on Friday, I had a wonderful day. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I think it's natural for us at the moment to compare to this event to the Open, because literally they were weeks after each other. It's a totally different experience being on the golf course at a LIV event that is a Open. I think for your purist, for your real pure golf fan, going to an Open and sitting on a grandstand from 7:30 in the morning till 8 p.m. at night and watching group by group come through where, you know, rain, shine, whatever, you're going to sit there and stick it out for 12 hours and watch it. And many fans for many years have loved that. To then go to a shotgun start where the gates don't open till 12 o'clock. If you want to see the players warm up before the round, they're all there. If you want to definitely guarantee seeing John Rahm, Brooks Koepka, DJ, Phil Mickelson, Cameron Smith, Bryson DeChambeau, you will definitely 100% see those players. You can't always say that at the Open, certainly if you go on a Saturday or Sunday. The shotgun start then was still a concept that I'm not sure as a viewing experience online is perfect yet. As a viewing experience on a golf course live, I don't think much beats it, because you can sit in one position all day, and from when that shotgun start went off at 2:30 till 6:30 or 7 o'clock, you get 4.5 hours of golf every 10 minutes on that hole, and you see every single one of the golfers that you potentially plan to see that day.
Yep.
The atmosphere... It is so different to the Open. It's electric. There's music. In certain parts, may I add, I think if you wanted to go, because I'm intrigued to hear off you in a minute, Guy, because I know your dad went, who probably sits in that camp of being a bit more of a golf purist when he goes to a golf event. If you want music and you want party and you want loud cheering and you want the energy, there's spots on the golf course where you get that. Again, the 14th where we were, the party hole, it was definitely that. In between groups, you had a compare coming out and getting the crowd going and singing Sweet Caroline and singing Hey Jude and all of these things. You can get that. If you wanted to go and experience a more subdued LIV event, you could also do that by going to the 6th hole, for argument's sake, where there wasn't much of a crowd and there wasn't music blaring and you want to just sit there and watch golf. You can also do that. I enjoyed it. I thought the atmosphere was brilliant. It's a younger crowd, definitely. I'm saying this for context, not saying it to blow my own trumpet. At the Open, I'm very lucky. Obviously, I make YouTube videos. I get spotted. I get, people coming up for pictures, and it's fairly frequently, but manageable. At LIV, I left the putting green to go over to the 14th, and again, I'm only putting this into context for the viewers and listeners. I pretty much got mobbed, like genuinely mobbed, because the audience is so much younger. Yeah. It's more our age. It's much more audience that are into the social media, their YouTube, their openness to maybe new golf events. And from getting mobbed. I literally went to the 14th and sat there all day because I was somewhat scared for my own safety. And it was just, it was very, very, very good. I ended up then being very invested for the whole weekend. I didn't watch loads on Saturday. I watched loads of it last night on Sunday to see Jon Rahm take victory and Tyrrell Hatton come agonisingly close and Legion 13 win. I still think there's elements of the team that can be strengthened, but it's definitely being on the ground and being at a golf event is very, 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 very different to any other golf event I've ever been to.
I wouldn't disagree. I think you're right. Yeah, a lot of those points you've said, I echo. And actually, it was quite interesting because obviously when I was walking around, I got chatting to people and a number of people said, I thought you didn't like LIV and what are you doing here? And actually in response to that, surprised a lot of people. This is my third LIV event, believe it or not.
You went to the first ever
I
one.
went to the very first LIV event, which was at Centurion back in June of 2022. And I remember at the time, and understandably so, you didn't go because you were quite dubious. There was a lot of negativity around it and you didn't necessarily want to be there on site and we didn't know what to expect. And I went, obviously a bit different for me going, and I had a good time. And I'm sure somebody can pull up the podcast from back then, and I said exactly the same. Then it was good on site, and last year we went, which was obviously 2023 again at Centurion, and once again had a really good time on site. And this time, I think, being honest, was the best of the three I've been to. It was obviously at JCB, as you said jokingly, but kind of in a serious sense, it kind of is our third home. Somewhere we know so well, been so lucky to play so many different times, and I know every single hole well. So watching those guys play those holes was totally surreal because it's very different to how we play a lot of those holes. And I think I've obviously had a weekend to kind of reflect on it as well and come up with some conclusions of it. And I think it's quite similar to yours in the sense that being on the ground, if you like, at a LIV event, I think it is really, really fun. And it does cater for a different demographic. So these are numbers that I heard. They might not be exactly right, but I believe the average age of the Open is about 55 years old. The average age of a LIV event is about 35 years old. So
it's exactly what I would have guessed.
About 20 years different. And my dad and his partner, they went to LIV. They went to the Open the week before, quite avid golf fans. They loved the Open, and I walked around them at LIV for about half an hour, and I wouldn't say they disliked it, but they looked a bit perplexed almost, a bit like kind of not sure what to make of it. And I asked Anne, my dad's partner, what she thought of it. Again, she likes a golf, she's into a golf, and she was like, I'm not sure. And I don't think it's a horrible way, but that's kind of, I guess, what LIV would want. A 70-year-old woman, who doesn't seem 70 by the way, but a 70-year-old woman shouldn't really be loving a LIV event, because if she was, then they're not quite doing what they should be doing, if that makes sense. It was full of younger people who were definitely enjoying a beverage or two, and she wasn't quite sold on it, which again is, it has to be different. If they want to be successful, they can't really be the same as a DP World Tour event or whatever. So that was definitely the case. It was different. I thought the actual people that you met that were there were, I'd still say they were golf fans, but just that younger bracket. Where they're definitely not at yet, and I guess LIV would want to get to, is the place where they're actually attracting just almost non-golf fans who are just generic sports fans or just even going for a day out. We had a little chat on Friday about it. We were kind of thinking about what to make of it all. And when you look at the races in the UK, I don't know the stats to hand, but I would imagine 90% of people who go to the races, whether it be Aintree, the Grand National, whatever, aren't going because they're racing fans. They're going for either a nice day out on the ale or a nice day out to get dolled up and get some nice pictures, maybe put a little flutter on and have a good day out. The racing's almost secondary. That, I suppose, where LIV would like to get to, where you've got people going on site who are going to a golf event who haven't really got any interest in golf. And I've seen that before, I said to you, in Abu Dhabi, when you've got these events on and younger people go as an event, as a brunch, just drinking and socialising. It just happens to be that golf's on. So I think that's where LIV may get to or may want to get to. And I think to your point, I was very invested over the weekend as well because of the fact that it was Tyrrell Hatton, it was Jon Rahm, it was a golf course we know so well. I couldn't wait to see what happened and who won. So I was thoroughly invested. I think the challenge that LIV have, as you've kind of touched on already, is how do they keep that momentum for people that aren't on site? Like the next LIV event, I'm not there. How do I stay as invested? And I think the big point is the teams. If they can nail that, if they can get these teams more... how much more almost
sticky?
Yeah, like we've got a guy here, Ben, who obviously does the podcast with us. Sometimes he's Australian. He's fully behind the Ripper GC.
It was so easy for him. He went in the merch tent and he would have been blinkered. He would have gone straight to Rippers and bought a hat,
which he did. And he's a massive fan of obviously Cameron Smith, the rest of the Australian guys. He's Australian. That's his team sorted. It's simple, isn't it?
So friends of mine who I also invited, you obviously know John Beasley, I caddied for him in final qualifying. He is, to me, the biggest golf purist that I genuinely know. He absolutely loves golf, like genuinely loves golf. But funny enough, not somebody who I've known to go to the Open that much. Like he just loves golf. I've not known him to go to that many golf events. He wanted to take a few of his mates to LIV. I managed to look after him some tickets, and he sent this message yesterday to the group that we're in, and he said, don't know about you boys, but I quite like the LIV format. And the general consensus in this group was they absolutely all love the day out without question. He's picked a team.
Who's he gone with?
And he's picked a team because he loves the captain of that team.
Okay.
And again, that makes sense, right? John Beasley is a massive, massive Sergio Garcia fan.
Okay. So he's gone fireballs.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost not even a thought for him. He's like, well, I love Sergio Garcia. I'm going to pick his team. I just don't think enough people have that connection with a player.
Well, there's that thing you're right from the fans' point of view. But the other thing as well, I watched a lot. I really want to try and get invested into this and come to this next podcast today with a rounded kind of argument and almost idea of what I felt of it, and I think I've got there pretty much. But the other thing I thought as well on the Thursday, I think it was, watching the build up, watched the press conference, and I watched the Crushers one, and I saw obviously Bryson with Paul Casey and the rest of the team. Now they've currently got a sub because Charles Howell's injured, and they've got what's he called?
What is he called?
Is it Lahiri? Is it? Oh, no, let me.
No, because he's already in the team.
No, that's the guy that's in the team though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the other guy was, I'm going to have to Google this quickly, annoyingly. This isn't great podcasting.
John Catlin.
Yes, correct.
He got a hole in one.
He did, on 17. Was it 17?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 17. But what I felt with that is, when I was watching Bryson and Paul Casey having like a bit of kind of awkward banter, they don't feel like teammates. They just felt like guys who've been put in the same team, and that's quite different, isn't it? Now, not everybody in your team you're going to be friends with. Certainly, think about a football team, and they've got obviously 23 in the squad or whatever. So it's, Lahiri's in that team. You're not always going to be friends with them, but when it's quite a small, intimate team of 4 people, you want to feel like there is some level of camaraderie and some connection. You could argue you get that a little bit with the Majestics, but then again, they've got 3 captains. It doesn't quite all make sense. If the teams can get something behind them that I personally can buy into, and a lot more people can buy into, it could start to gain a lot more traction. Overriding point, though, is on site, and that's my 3rd year in the run. I'm sure I'll be going next year. It's a great, great day out. The one thing, though, however, and again, it's like a right killjoy here now, I think there has to be a real fine line, because when you get younger people, and let's say an average age of 35 is younger, and you get alcohol thrown in, and you get a warm, sunny day, and you get an atmosphere that's encouraged to be a bit more rowdy.
And a long time. And people like Ed behind the camera who's smirking, who are in the hospitality sometimes having a few drinks and sneaking around town. It gets a little bit messy, and this is not me, by the way, being a golf purist. This is me being an adult who has a child who would go to events like this potentially with a child, with a wife, etc. It started to get a little bit, I thought, laddish, and I saw the clip where somebody fell over trying to get the ball off Ian Poulter and rolled down the hill. There was a guy that jumped in the pond on 17. I didn't see any scuffles, anything like that when I was there. However, if this starts to get advertised more and people come back like they did this time since the friends, that was great, come next time, and they bring the friends next time, and you get the guy who's not really into golf but comes along for the ride, which is fine. That's what we want. We want more people to see golf, but has one too many and starts getting a bit leery and starts telling somebody to F off and pushing and shoving in toilets, whatever that might be, which you get with people with alcohol, as we see on nights out all the time. If that spills over into it, that is not a good place to be. So there needs to be some level of policing on that. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how that would be done.
Back to the races, don't you see fights at races? You see people in the toilets doing things they shouldn't be doing, etc. And it doesn't take a genius to think about what I'm talking about.
Wheeze and poos.
Yeah, wheeze and poos and other things. And it starts to get... And I was just speaking to somebody before, actually, who was at the UFC this weekend in Manchester. Now, that was a bit of a weird one, because if you saw it, Rick, the main fight's like 5 a.m, even though it was in Manchester, to cater for the US audience, yeah. And there was a lot of trouble. There was a lot of blokes who were up to no good, up till all hours, watching the UFC.
Oh my God.
Having scraps at the foyer and all that kind of stuff. Now,
stand at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, the main fight's like 5, 6 a.m. And that's my worry. maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I am being a killjoy. Maybe, and hopefully the majority of people just go and have a great time, have a few beers, and that's that. But if it spills over, if it does, that's the big if, that would start to... Maybe we'll get firms. Maybe we'll get the Crushers guys going in the Stone Island, having a little scrap beforehand against the Majestics.
Imagine.
The Majestics Ultras.
I think they should have like a putting comp. Like go on a
Majestics till I die. Majestics till I die. You know I am. Majestics till I die. Majestics.
Jesus.
What do we think of Crushers? Shy. What do you think of Shy? Crushers.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what. Who knows?
Who knows? I think.
Watch your back. There's a clique behind you.
Don't get cliqued. I think how I definitely envision the on-site experience going to as well, and again referring it back to the races and horse racing that is here in the UK. I could definitely imagine a future where a bunch of you go. There'll be 2 or 3 golfers, the rest non-golfers. And I could imagine, all putting a bet on at the start of the day. Oh, which team do you like? Oh, and and for example, my wife, she's not a golf fan. She wouldn't really know who she would back on. Go, oh, I quite like the name Crushers. Mm-hmm. I'll put a tenner on Crushers. Okay. And that makes it that little bit of engagement. It's like she's got a bit of skin in the game and it makes it a bit more exciting. I also definitely see a future where on the party hole, and I'm not advocating gambling here, I'm just saying this is how I could envision it going. On the party hole, and we saw it where there's 3 players come up on the tee. Imagine having like a little kiosk where you could say, put me a tenner on Bryson DeChambeau to get nearest the pin here. Okay, you're going to give you odds 3-1. Brilliant. And again, you're just watching it live there in front of you, and you're like, every shot there matters. I thought what was really fascinating, certainly on that 14th hole, for people who had signed up to the LiveX app, if a player on the 14th hole got a hole in one, somebody on LiveX would have won £100,000. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that made every single person in that area, in that 14th, be invested in every single shot.
It did. No question.
Like every shot that was being hit, and anything that went down the line of the flag was like, oh. It was like,
was that still the
like you've got. It's that excitement.
Well, what's good with that as well is you could have somebody who's 5 over, they're absolutely out of it, but their shot, they could still have a hole in one. So like you said, literally every single golfer, no matter if they're doing great or they're a big name, a small name, whatever, you want to see their shot.
Gosh, do. The one thing, going back to your point a little bit, in any other sport, where it's horse racing, whether it's football, whether it's anything where there's a rowdy crowd, typically it's a rowdy sport. And what I mean by that, it's noisy. Like, noise doesn't put them off.
No.
Like, if you're noisy at a football match, it doesn't put the players off. If you're noisy at the horse racing, it doesn't put the horses off, does it? Like, you can be as loud as you want, you can scream. You can't really do that at golf. There's got to be times, and I saw a clip of John Rahm getting a bit arsey with a fan on the 8th hole because, they were talking in the backswing. That is going to happen.
Yeah, but I think that's, again, this is how you police it, because if somebody did that at the Open, everyone would look at them and you go, what are you doing, you idiot? And you'd even get the commentators giving them a bit. With this, I noticed when there was a few incidents, the commentators kind of laughed about it, because how can they really say, look at that tosser rolling down the hill, when the whole thing you're encouraging is this kind of golf but louder? So it's just this balance. I think, realistically, most of these people at the moment, they are golfers, they are blokes mostly, and they are average age of 35. They know what's right or wrong, and I think the vast majority are having a few beers, having a good laugh, and that's where it'll stay. There's always going to be one, and that's not Liv's fault, that's nobody else's fault, other than that's it's single person who might play a bit silly. Alex Roberts said on the Facebook group, Rick, I was at LIV on the Sunday and the atmosphere was brilliant. There was also some excellent golf on display. Being only a week apart and taking prize money and heritage out of the question, how do you think JCB compared to True? And in my opinion, I thought the LIV event was better. Now, you kind of said this earlier on, and we said this before off podcast. It's natural, certainly in our situation where we're lucky to go to both events, you will compare it to Troon. It was the week after Royal Troon, the Open Championship. However, comparing a LIV event to one of the 4 major championships, I don't think you can do. I don't think it's fair on either of the events. Firstly, on saying that it was better than the Open, and secondly on LIV, really, because that's a major. What I would say really is you're more likely to compare this to either a DP World Tour event in terms of, was it more fun to go to than a DP World Tour event? That's the first thing. And then secondly, if you want to compare the atmosphere and the fun and the camaraderie, I think you compare it in looking at like the PGA Tour, you've got to compare it to Waste Management. Now, as exciting as that party hole was, It's nothing on the waste management yet, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm sure. Is it something along the lines of 70,000 people a day
insane.
go to waste management?
It's something, and it's the same vibe, just that's on steroids essentially, isn't it? So whether LIV will ever get to that, whether they want to get to that, the difference again is the waste management, the same golf course every single year. That hole will obviously have infrastructure built around it that makes it so much easier to continue to innovate and elevate the whole experience. LIV is going around 14 different courses a year. Obviously, some of them will be returning to the same golf courses. So who knows? Next year, we might see holes like that again, where it's even bigger and better. Again, though, when we go back to waste management, how many times have we said it steps over the mark a little bit?
I feel like it has done recently.
It has done. So it's just that balancing act.
We put a post on yesterday on Facebook congratulating John Rahm. You know, it's someone who actually managed to speak to at the Open. We're looking at potentially doing some filming, hopefully in the future. The comments, we asked comments for people, very, very mixed. Very mixed. A lot of people went by the looks of the comments, but you've got, let's say this for this particular comment from James Turner. I went yesterday, was a fabulous day out, and every kid seemed to love it. The course is superb, and the pros made it look easy. The pros were very good signing autographs for the kids. Bryson's group had the largest crowd, and in the end, he stayed back to sign autographs for the kids and have pictures. That's one comment. Okay, come back to another comment. Gavin Smith went to LIV event, went with my family. I'll skip a few of the bits. I was expecting felt more like a stag do than a golf event.
Yeah.
I was expecting a party atmosphere, but it was really more like a stag do. To the point where my daughter asked why are so many men loud and drunk? So it just depends. It depends on what you see. There are a lot of people who went. The majority, it's very, very, very positive for the people that went.
I can fix it straight away. I've got an idea.
No alcohol.
No. I think that's part of it. But what I do think is when you think about Premier League football, and in fact, I don't think that is Premier League football in the UK, they often have like a family stand or a family area. Why doesn't LIV? I know this might be really silly and hard to police, but it shouldn't be. Have a family stand.
Have a family hole,
yeah. So like, let's just say, with the party hole was hole 14. Why don't we have it where hole 12 or 13 or whatever hole it might be
is furthest away from 14?
Yeah, exactly. Is a family hole where there's a few more activations for kids, a few more mini golfs or whatever. You've got a stand with nice comfy seats where it is literally for adults and children. There's a bar that doesn't sell alcohol, it's just all soft drinks, or maybe it has got, I don't know, where it's a lot more encouraged. So you could still go to that event and have a great time with a child and be away from it all. Because that's the same, I've got a little one who's nowhere near really the age to be going to LIV just yet, but if I do ever take her to an event like that, I don't want to be seeing all that rowdiness. So that's an option. But I think the other thing as well, the other negative, and this is something that you'll kind of laugh about. I think I told you this already, Rick, and sounds a bit funny, but this is genuinely a concern for some people. When my dad did go, upon entering, he got his bag searched, which is fine. That's completely what they should be doing this day and age. But he had he took some food, I think some soup, whatever. It was all confiscated that you weren't allowed to take food and drinks on site. Now, for us, it didn't really matter. We were obviously buying stuff when we were already there, and some people will, but a lot of people at golf events like the Open will literally take their own food and drink, and ultimately these events are quite expensive to go to travel to, etc. So naturally and understandably, a lot of people either make sandwiches before they go or grab a meal from Tesco and might treat themselves to a bag of chips while we're there, but try and keep the cost down. And my dad his partner Anne had literally made sandwiches and all this stuff, and they got taken off them. I get that in a sense that LIV want you to be buying things on site, but I also think it's a little bit unfair that. So I think that's one thing that they might need to look at, that let people take in their own stuff unless it's alcohol. You have to buy your own alcohol on site. I can deal with that.
I've still got issues with the broadcast. If I heard Championship Sunday one more time yesterday, I was going to smash my laptop. They just, for whatever reason, they are absolutely on that Championship Sunday. And listen, it's the last day, fine. Call it the final round, call it the final day. It's the wording of Championship Sunday. It's so long. I just wish to say Championship Day or whatever, final day. And I still feel the pylon on the screen all the time is a little bit off-putting. It's still not. I still don't think they've nailed the actual broadcast yet.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the other last thing as well. The shotgun start element of it. Towards the end, I would probably rather see people coming down like in order.
Well, they kind of did it a bit like that.
They did. Yeah, they still did.
The only player that was a little bit off was Joachim Neiman.
Correct. He
finished on the third.
He did. And then this is genuinely the last negative I've got about it. You filmed this guy before, and you probably will again. Tyrrell Hatton's hard to watch. I'm sorry. Might upset a few people, might not. I kind of wanted him to do well, and I'll be honest, I absolutely wanted him to two-putt the last and go into a playoff. Whether I wanted him to beat Jon Rahm or not, I didn't really have an opinion on that, but I would have loved to have seen a playoff. Unfortunately, he three-putted, although it was a terribly long putt, the first putt, so a three-putt was kind of somewhat inevitable-ish. It was very, very tough two-putt, that. Watching him play golf, though, I find him, everything's a moan. He's never happy with the shot he hits. It's like he's always blaming the golf course. He did get a few unlucky breaks, admittedly. He's driving 18, ended up in an unlucky position. But oh man, speaking about, like, you know, you're on this tour making loads of money. Yes, you want to win. Yes, you want to be competitive. I love the passion, but not an easy watch.
I'd agree. I think what's bizarre with him, I think because he's had such success with this mentality, I think it's going to be hard for him to change.
Yeah, and that's something. I think this is bad. I don't mind personality. I think, is it Nick Kyrgios in tennis has got a temper, and it's something we've seen before. You know, players smacking clubs, and to me, weirdly, it's not as much about anger that I mind, because I know it doesn't always set a good example, but that little bit of fire, and I'm sure Seve had that in him a little bit as well. But it's almost like every single shot you're moaning to your caddy about, like the course, or it's not even like it's down to him. I don't know. I
saw him hit one shot. It was on the 7th, the dogleg down the hill to the right, and he hit it into the rough. Apparently, it was a really, really horrible lie that he had, and he hit this wonderful. So he hit this shot, and straight away I thought, "Oh my God, where's this gone?" And when I see him hit a bad shot, I'm almost a bit scared.
Yeah.
I'm almost a bit like, where's this going to end up, and what's going to happen? And it literally landed middle of the green, rode over the hill to about 3 foot. An unbelievable,
I think I know the one you're talking about, actually.
An unbelievable result. Whether it's the way he pictured it, whether it's the way he meant to hit it, whatever, it was an unbelievable result, and he went on to make birdie. If you see him after he hit that shot, all he was doing was looking at the caddy. Yeah. I would hate to be his caddy.
Well, that's also on that. I don't mind a golfer who has tantrums like that if, when they hit good shots, they're massively fist pumping, because then you get both sides of it. Like you see, Tiger's done that before. He's been quite upset and emotional, but then very, very, like, obviously fist pumping and stuff. But I think with Hatton, it feels like you get a lot of the one side and not so much the other side. But it's just an observation. I know he's going to have a lot of fans out there, obviously, and rightly so. The one that we haven't touched on, though, yet, Rick, obviously one of the main guys there that we saw was Bryson DeChambeau. He recently had arguably one of the biggest, the biggest golf YouTube video ever, playing with former President Donald Trump. Obviously, there's going to be some thoughts around this. Maybe we'll have opinions on the politics side of it. We're going to stay well out of that, of course we are. But from the point of view of a golf YouTube video, it was absolutely insane that this happened. And what was your take on it for YouTube Golf?
When I saw him at the Open, he told me this was coming, and I was like, it didn't surprise me. I remember him, when I filmed with him back in the last year, it was a goal of his to try and get Donald Trump on the podcast on YouTube. So he told me at the Open that it was happening. He said it was very difficult to release. There was a lot of politics. This was just after, so when he told me it was after the assassination attempt, but obviously he filmed that video weeks and weeks and weeks earlier, I think the start of July or something. When it got released, I thought this is going to go big. How big it went really, really shocked me. In 5 days, the video's got 9.3 million views. It's the most liked golf YouTube video ever, with 342,000 likes.
Crazy.
It's actually on 40,999 comments.
Yeah.
One more comment would make 41,000 comments. It was a 56-minute video of him doing a break 50, which to some degree I feel part of. Like, we came up with the break series, really. The fact he's doing a break 50 with the president is not something I expected to see in the world of golf. It was a very good video. Again, leaving politics out of it. Donald Trump could really hit it, certainly off the tee. His putting was probably the most unusual putting style I've ever seen in my life. But he seemed to make it work. For a 78-year-old man, he played some solid golf. Bryson was brilliant with him. It was weird to see like buggy cam with like the president and ex-president and Bryson. The amount of security that was there was fascinating. I mean, I saw that in my own eyes when I was over in December when I went to Trump. God, what was the golf course called? The one in Jupiter. And he was present. We spoke about in the podcast. I got to briefly meet him. The amount of security that travels around with him is obscene. Just even at his own golf venue, it's unbelievable. And actually, you saw a bit of that in the video, but it didn't feel like it distracted the video. It felt like it was really just them two out there playing golf. They ended up shooting a 50 off the front tees, the red tees, the front tees, at Donald Trump's golf course in, was it Bedminster?
I'm not sure where it was.
It brought in Bryson DeChambeau an obscene amount of subscribers. Bryson actually sent me some analytics of the amount of subscribers it brought in. He was at the time, he was on 850,000 subscribers, if I'm not mistaken. He's now on 1.25 million subscribers. He's now I think the 6th or 7th channel now to surpass the million subscriber mark. He is killing it. He is right now the most watched golf YouTuber on the planet.
Well, and that's it. I think if you think about that, we spoke about this obviously again off podcast, but you look at it was the perfect storm. You've got Bryson DeChambeau, who's world number 9 ranked golfer, and the same on the data golf rankings actually as well. Number 9 in the world. He's the current US Open champion, obviously 2-time US Open champion, and he's massive on YouTube. He's got a huge audience. He's really changed his perception this last 18 months or so. He feels like he's gone from being the guy that people were kind of not liking to now people kind of loving.
People love him.
If you think about when he had that beef with Brooks, I think a lot of people were Team Brooks. He was the cooler guy to be following. I think if that beef was continued now, I think it would only be one-sided. It would be everybody would be Team Bryson. But then you look at, obviously, you've got the whole, again, politics aside, but presidential elections coming up soon. You've got the fact that Biden and Trump had this argument about golf and who would be a better golfer. You've got, obviously, of course, you've had this assassination attempt. You've got the fact that Biden has since stepped down from running for election. I think it's in November, whenever it is. The whole world, even obviously in the UK, is talking about American politics, and obviously Bryson's so relevant that to put that all into a YouTube video was incredible. Again, politics aside, whether you love him, you hate him, whatever it might be, you couldn't help but watch. And I think, broader topic for us and where it kind of concerns us much more is what this kind of does do for YouTube golf. The fact that Bryson brought in so many subscribers is crazy. Obviously, there'll be so many people who didn't know he had a channel who now do. There'll be so many people who've never watched YouTube golf and thought, I'm not into that. I only watch PGA Tour or DP World or LIV, whatever, and watched that. And go, that was quite a fun, irrespective of who it was, that format was quite fun to watch, and I enjoyed watching that. That's a new thing for me to dive into the world of. It was crazy, and I think, again, on a bigger spectrum, these golfers that have channels like Bryson, who are allowing the audience into their world and to see more of them, sometimes on course, sometimes they're off course and more relaxed, it's going to get you more fans, isn't it?
I think, what happens with YouTube as well, once someone's watched that video on YouTube, and he could have, it sounds daft, and I'm sure he wouldn't have done, he could have easily put it behind a paywall. I mean, it was a fundraiser for Wounded Warrior Project. Currently on social media, on the YouTube video, they've raised $32,000. I believe they were also donating $10,000 for every birdie they made and $20,000 for eagle, I think. So they would have easily raised over $100,000 for Wounded Warrior Project. However, on YouTube, what happens once you watch a video, typically then YouTube will be clever and say, oh, well, here's another golf YouTube video you might be interested in. And that might be a Bryson with Paige Spiranak break 50, and then the next video is a Bryson and Rick Shiels video, and then it's a Rick Shiels and a Tommy Fleetwood video, and people get lost in this world of YouTube. So the fact he's brought in all of these new followers, new subscribers, is only good for golf YouTube. And he said to me again at the Open, rising tides rise all ships, which is again a statement that I've used for many years. I think it the challenge is what actually beats that video.
I don't know, nothing might do, and I think that if there ever is...
Me and Tiger break... Tiger, this is the chance, right? If you want, come on. You like being number one. Let's do a break. Let's do a 10-shot challenge, you and me, at Augusta National.
I'd love it. I'd love nothing more.
Tiger, call me.
I think, unfortunately, though, I think that the fact he's arguably the most famous man on the planet, loved or hated, I think it was anyway. But what I'm also going to come on to, then, it's like kind of segue off that is, this isn't maybe the most controversial statement. Maybe it is. I don't know. It depends how you see things. But looking now at the World Top 10, whatever it might be, the World Top 20, and looking at the golfers who are moving the needle, you've got Scotty, he's the absolute dominant force. Xander, obviously, has now just won 2 majors in 1 year. Rory seems to have been around for forever, although he's not won a major for obviously 10 years. I'm kind of working down the rankings here. Ludwig is obviously the up-and-coming guy, obviously killing it. Morikawa, Victor Hovland, Patrick Cantlay, Bryson. I honestly think now, looking at the way that Bryson's career is panning out, the way that he came onto the scene as a skinny guy who was kind of the mad scientist with the one-length golf clubs, the long drive journey he went on, the bulking up, the 2-time major champion, the fact that now he's on the LIV Tour, which obviously caused a lot of interest and intrigue, the fact that he is a YouTuber, that he's had Donald Trump on his channel. I honestly think right now, and
US Open winner this year.
Correct. I honestly think moving forward and right now, he is going to be the closest thing we've had to Tiger in terms of growing the game, for the phrase that we kind of like and hate, for moving the needle, for getting people into golf, being a character, being a personality. And I think he is. I don't think there's anyone that comes close.
No, I can't argue. I think he's done a tremendous job. I really do. I think he's going to go from strength to strength. Yeah, I think he is. Right now, he's the needle mover. He's the needle.
And just the last thing on that, you saw my handshake with him. So I spoke to him briefly, very, very briefly at LIV.
Possibly the worst thing I've
hi,
ever
mate,
seen.
congrats on 1 million subs.
Maybe that's why people thought I was drinking at LIV.
Potentially.
Because as soon as I saw that picture, I actually
you were just sick
ran
everywhere.
Straight to the toilets and
yeah. So obviously I know Bryson
sick.
very, very loosely. I don't claim to be friends with him, but obviously met him a couple of times, done a podcast with him, etc. So congratulated him, and he can whatever. And the handshake, he went for a fist bump. I committed to an open palm kind of dap.
Oh my
they
God.
met each other in the middle, and it was literally a cabbage, I believe the kids call it, where my hand literally went over his fist.
Oh.
And it felt like it was an eternity, and it was like, hello, darkness, my old friend.
I love how it was pictured as well.
Yeah, it was. It was
Well
pictured.
done. Was it Harry that got
Harry
that
got it
picture?
on camera. And it was... I'd like to think I'm relatively confident, and if things happen that are a bit embarrassing, like, whatever, things happen. However, that was one of the moments where I wanted the ground to swallow me up and me to never come out again, because it was disgusting. So I can only apologize, public apology. If Bryson ever sees or hears this, I'm sorry about that.
I mean, you beat him in rock, paper, scissors.
Correct, I did. Destroyed him.
They
That's
should
what I
have
was
said
playing.
That's what you were playing.
I was playing.
I've got a massive gripe.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something else then.
A massive gripe.
I don't want to hear it, Rick. I want to save it for Friday.
No, this because Friday it might have expired.
Okay, come on, kind of quick.
And I've got a few other bits yet.
Okay.
This podcast ain't over yet.
Oh, right, okay.
Sit tight, everyone.
Oh, right, okay.
We've got a long...
I thought you were leading me up then to
No.
a nice little cut off and go wait for Friday's clubhouse.
I've got a big gripe and it can't wait for Friday, okay? The Olympics, okay? Arguably the biggest sporting event in the world.
I think the World Cup is, then the Olympics and the Ryder Cup. Something like that, but you're right.
It's top 3.
I'll argue about it if you want to.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's top 3.
Yeah.
And I love the Olympics.
You do.
Genuinely,
You've always said that.
I get really, really into it. And
Which team are you supporting?
this year I'm going to go with Great Britain.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to Australia.
Yeah. Currently with 13th in the table.
Oh, that's rubbish.
Anyway, I absolutely love it. I find myself watching the most random sports in the world, getting fully invested, starting a 30-minute episode, not having a clue how to play how they score. I was watching street skateboarding yesterday. Women's street skateboarding.
By the way, see the girl that's 12 years old who's doing it. She was born in 2002.
Oh my God. I saw this Brazilian who was like 16 and she was ridiculous. Not having a clue what skateboarding, at the end, fully expert, almost ranking them and go, oh no, that should have been higher than 82.6. Oh, come on, that was way higher. Anyway, I absolutely love it. I almost watched the full 4 hours of the opening ceremony.
Oh, it was crud.
It was horrendous.
It was absolutely
Most
terrible.
random opening ceremony I've ever seen, right? And I would say at the moment, I am very, 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 very invested in the Olympics, okay? This is my gripe. Not once, and I genuinely mean not once, have I seen or heard the word golf. At all.
Yeah.
At all. Nothing. The opening credits, you've got all these fancy artwork from the BBC of all these fancy sport. Golf's not there. The opening ceremony, they did this thing about who to watch, like people to watch. And I was like, here we go. And it went through pretty much every sport from boxing to bloody tiddlywinks to whatever, right? Every sport of who to watch. I was like, right, here we go. Come on, golf. Golf's got to come up next. Golf's going to be next. Not a single mention of golf. Not a single mention that Scotty Scheffler, the world number one, the most dominant golfer the world has seen in the last 10 years, has not been mentioned once at all. They've not mentioned Tommy Fleetwood. They've not mentioned Matt Fitzpatrick. The only, and they got forced into doing this. And in fact, it's actually from a podcast, the host of a podcast that we've had a bit of beef with recently, Andrew Cotter, who does the announcing. He does a lot of the presenting work for the Olympics. The only time I've seen him mention golf, and it's very briefly, Shane Lowry was the flag bearer for Ireland, and he literally skimmed over it for 2 seconds. I'm just very, very disappointed. And the reason why I can't wait is because the golf is on this week, right?
Yeah.
And I've not seen anything at all.
Okay, I get it. However, I've just Googled something quickly of how many sports is Olympics the absolute pinnacle of said sport. Okay, so where Olympics is the top thing you can do in said sport.
Have us in it or don't have golf in it.
But look at this though. You've got
celebrate us or don't have us.
Athletics, badminton, canoeing, diving, fencing, handball, hockey, judo, rowing, shooting, swimming, table tennis, taekwondo, volleyball, weightlifting, etc., etc. So, to your point, should golf be in it? It feels like it's a filler to me.
Like, either celebrate it and celebrate how amazing our sport is, or don't have us in it.
I think they've missed a trick by the format as well.
The format's dreadful.
4 days of stroke play where actually your teammate is kind of irrelevant to you, which is obviously fine. You have sort of sports like swimming, it's very individual, but yet you have obviously teammates, etc. Obviously, lots of sports. This could have been a great chance to have some level of team sport, potentially. Or they could have had some level of different disciplines, whether it was stroke play, 18 holes, and a different format. I don't know.
It could have been match play. It could have been team. It could have been mixed. It could have been longest drive. There's so many elements to it they've missed.
I think the thing for me though is with this is why it's hard to really resonate with it just right at the minute, is that when we've had a lot of discussion today about LIV, obviously, and how one thing we've not touched on too much today is that winning at LIV doesn't feel like it means anything because it's still so new, obviously. When you think about Olympics, so golf was in the Olympics many years ago. I'm trying to find the exact date here, but anyway, it was in the Olympics a long time ago, and it obviously came back in 2016. We had Justin Rose won the first one, then we had obviously Xander Schauffele, and now obviously whoever wins this one will win this one. Does it mean anything still, really? In the world of golf, that is. I think, again, if Tommy wins a gold medal, I think that'd be great for him in his career. It'd be great for him in the public eye in the UK. He'd definitely get more recognised and be a more of a famous sports person, rightly so. But would anybody in the world of golf look at him differently? Does it mean more than a PGA Tour event means?
For certain individuals, yes. Maybe not for everyone.
But for Tommy?
Admit. I think for Tommy, yeah, absolutely.
You do?
I think it's huge for him. Huge.
So you think Tommy would rather have Olympic gold than Sawgrass? Because Tommy has never won on the PGA Tour, although he's a very established PGA Tour player, one of the best players on the planet. Would he rather win Olympic gold or win a signature event on the PGA Tour? Surely it's got to be a PGA Tour event.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, actually. I tell you who has got a lot on the line. Tom Kim.
Tom Kim. Yes, he has got a lot on the line.
He has got... Because I don't think Ben An has.
I'm not sure.
Because I'm sure Ben An has won, because he's won on the PGA Tour. So basically, why are we talking about
Tom Kim's on the PGA Tour?
Well, I'm sure there's something that has Ben An done his public service, maybe. That's what it is.
Possibly.
So Tom Kim, who's from Korea, if he wins, is it only gold or is it any medal?
I think it's any medal, but don't quote me.
If he gets a top 3 or only gold, he then does not have to do the Korean public service.
National service,
which I believe is 2 years.
Again, you're asking the wrong person here. I'm not fully sure.
It is 2 years.
It is 2 years. Thanks, Ed. It means a lot to him. Basically, if he wins or gets a medal, he will then not have to do the 2 years national service, which again, not saying has to, because obviously most male people in Korea do have to do it. But for a professional golfer who makes his living playing professional golf, I can imagine he would rather not do that and actually play professional golf and earn a lot more money.
You know what's crazy? And this is a totally different topic for a much more educated podcast than ours, but like, I didn't realise how big, maybe naively, the national service was in Korea. That you've heard that band BTS, who are the biggest K-pop band arguably on the planet, like 6, 7, obviously Korean young guys. They are currently kind of off the radar because they're all doing public service, national service, and they are like one of the biggest bands globally, one of the biggest exports of South Korea, and even those guys have to do it. So I think it literally is that like kind of strict. That unless he obviously wins this, he'll. But which again,
Heung-min Son from Spurs, he had to do it, but he didn't do it because he won gold in the Asia Games.
So he got out of it.
How bad's that? The other thing is, I didn't realise that gold medalists and medalists get paid from their countries, but it all varies. So apparently, if you win it, a GB win a gold, you get paid £37,000 or dollars, and then there's other countries where you get paid like $700,000.
Yeah, Singapore was like that when they won the gold in the Olympic swimming.
Imagine that though. Imagine if it was like the rowing team and there's like 12 of them.
Do you think,
it a split of $700,000?
Obviously, we're very casual Olympics fans, but do you think then with that, and that being said, that sports like golf, where it's not the pinnacle of the sport, should be removed, and it should only be for, because like the football as well. It's
random, the football. Does GB even have a team?
I don't even know, but can't they? It's under 23s, but you can have a couple that aren't or something.
Again, I wouldn't be opposed if golf was for amateurs only.
Now you're onto something like the boxing.
Yeah. Because why should it be?
That's a great shout. And then it gets you into the Masters the next year. The Oak gets you into all 4 majors. We've solved it. Keep it 4. There you go then. Keep it 4 days. Keep it stroke play. The Olympics is for amateur golfers, and you get the gold medal, and you get through to the next 4 majors or 2 majors for the following year, whatever. USO Masters. No, 3, 4. Give them all. Give them all. Done. You're in.
Random one. I'm just on the golf page of the of all the players, and they've all had to do headshots. Have you seen these?
Yeah.
Some of them are like
for the
passport pictures.
Yeah.
Because so many of them you don't normally see without a hat, and they all look a bit bizarre. If you want a bit of light-hearted entertainment,
do you want to jump into a little clubhouse?
Well, what's that?
We're still going.
Haven't finished yet. Let me talk.
How long are we on?
1 hour, 1 minute.
Right, we're not finished yet. We're not going anywhere. Can you guess the golfer only one golfer doesn't have a headshot? And I'll give you a clue. We've already spoke about him on this podcast recently. There's only one person where it's a black silhouette. He's not got a picture.
And we spoke about them on this podcast today.
Really recently.
Tommy. No, he's got one, hasn't he?
He's got one.
Tom Kim.
No. Go on. Close. Ed, any advance? He wasn't listening.
Not sure.
He's the only golfer that the Olympics coverage have covered so far, briefly.
Scotty. No.
Shane Lowry. The only one that's not got a picture.
That's weird.
More news.
Yeah.
Not finished yet.
Okay, it's all right, chill. I'll let you.
This week, yesterday, was the start of the Island Series. Northern Island Series. So this was a trip I did about, God, how long ago was it now? Month and a half ago, 2 months.
It was May, I think.
was it May? No, it wasn't May.
I was on holiday.
Was it actually May?
It was actually May. I'll tell you the exact date right now. You went about the 11th of May.
Oh my goodness. Right, anyway. Went to Ireland, Northern Ireland for a week and filmed some incredible content. That's going to go out this week. So we've got Ardglass going out yesterday. Arguably my new number 1 golf course in the entire world. Royal County Down is going out on Friday. It's spectacular. I genuinely can't wait for people to see that video. Next week then we've got Royal Port Rush. We've got St Patrick's, which is St Patrick's at Rosapenna is the newest entry into the top 50 golf course in the world at number 49. Wow. It's brand new. It's like 3 years old and it's already 49th best golf course in the world. We did have Port Stewart, but I felt ill, so we're going to have to go back and shoot that one. And we've actually got a plan in about 2 weeks' time to go back to Northern Ireland. This time guys coming.
Yes.
And potentially going shooting some awesome golf courses. So that content's coming out soon. And then the last thing. Should I talk about the last thing in the Clubhouse episode?
I don't. The only thing I like about one without trying to egg you on to do that was because I like this little bit of a cliffhanger then that's like, right, come into the clubhouse. I'm not trying to cut you off the pod, just trying to get you to give a little bit, save a little bit back.
The problem is that it's all time sensitive.
Well, go on then, go with it now.
There's been another bloody YouTube hole-in-one. When is our turn? When is our time? So Bob Does Sports, wonderful people at Bob Does Sports. You got Bob, Joey, FP, Fat Perez. He wasn't actually with them that day for some reason. Only literally 6 weeks ago, did Bob get a hole-in-one on the channel on this beautiful, short, little par 3 that this golf course has been filming lots at recently. On this latest version, it was Bob, Joey, Grant Horvath was joining them, and Joey had an awesome hole-in-one where it pitched past the flag, spun back in, the guys went crazy. You know what? I watched those clips, and after I've watched it, my jaw is aching for how much I'm just smiling and laughing, and it's absolute comedy gold when those guys do something special. Because seeing them run is comedy gold. Yeah. I'll be honest, Joey, I love you, but seeing you run from the tee to the green was comedy gold. The fact it's like they never believe the cameraman. It's like, you're joking. You don't do this to me, man. Don't do this to me. And then it's actually in the hole. That was awesome. But I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated.
That you've not had one?
Because I feel like every channel's had one now.
What would be worse? We don't have one, or I had one.
You have one. I've been really... I mean, how close was it with Justin Rose?
Yes,
that was obscenely close. There's been a few really, really, really close ones.
It'll happen when you're not expecting it.
It'll be happening when I'm bloody not filming. But yeah, we've got... I just wanted to give the congratulations.
You know what, though? When you think about that, why it is so special, I think obviously it's great for the video, of course it is, but like a hole-in-one is one of the handful of golf shots, if you're lucky enough to have one, that you'll remember for the rest of your life. Even if you remember it with a bit of blurred vision and the memory kind of changes a little bit over time, because it's literally a hole-in-one. You won't remember the good drive you hit on the third hole after the next week, probably. It just goes. But to have that on camera, like filmed properly, that you can go back at in 20, 30 years' time when YouTube golf isn't a thing anymore, it's evaporated and we're now playing space golf on Mars, you can still watch that video. That is the special thing.
I'm looking forward to when I have mine. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I'll do it when I'm playing with Tiger or Augusta on the 16th hole. Or the 12th. That'd be a nice little one.
That would be a very nice little one.
My last thing, sorry, then we'll go on to it. Have you seen how weird the Paris 2024 logo is?
It looks like Gail Platt.
Gail Platt, and also, who's the singer? Oh, I don't... Anyway, in it weird.
Do you think that there's a part of them that release those kind of logos because they know it's going to get a lot of feedback? Because it's that someone must have said when that video logo went live, I see it's a flame. It looks a bit like a woman with a middle-aged haircut and a bit of a bob and lips.
It's literally got lips. I
don't
understand the lips.
They must do it. They must have done it on purpose.
It's really bizarre. I can't stop looking at it now. Anyway, thanks everyone. I'd like to say there's some juicy more things I want to talk about in the Clubhouse episode, but there really isn't.
I've got a good one about socks.
We'll see you on Friday's episode. Thanks for listening, everyone.